Hi, this is John Schmitz for the Do Something Indie show, and I have yet another special guest on the show today. And I'm out here in Emerson Heights neighborhood, and I got a friend of mine, Ryan Wilson, and you know, he's been doing things in his neighborhood for several years, and we're going to catch up with him and see what's going on now and how he got started in this neighborhood. So, Ryan, go ahead and tell us a little bit about your background, because I know you're not originally from
Thanks, John. Well, we moved to Indianapolis with my company in 2007, and at the time I'm thinking I'll give it a couple years. You know, I'm living on the East Coast. I'd like to get back there. But Indy's just been a great place for us to raise 3 kids, and very affordable, and we have no regrets. So we've been here now 13 years.
So you were telling me, though, right out of the gate, you pretty much got involved in the neighborhood association. What it's like, hey, I'm here. I'll be president.
I don't know if I told you the story. So there was a really great gentleman by the name of Don Bailey, and he'd been running the neighborhood for 5-10 years, the neighborhood organization. And my wife and I showed up to a meeting, and it was the election meeting. Unfortunately, it was the first meeting. We didn't know that until we got there, and somebody said something about, oh, we got young blood here, or fresh blood, or something like that. And they said, hey, who wants to run for secretary? And my wife said, Ryan and I will do it. And so we did that together for a year, and then we just kind of stayed involved throughout the years. So we've been involved in the neighborhood now about 11 years.
So what was one of your biggest challenges during that time that you had to face, that you felt like you made some progress with?
Yeah. No, that's a great question. There's a few. I would say one is we're actually blessed to be a neighborhood that has a lot of interest and participation. With that comes sometimes potential divides, right? Some people want to do this, some people want to do that, and I've really felt like in my time as president, I had to kind of bring everybody to the table.
Herd
and
the
that
turtles.
was and sometimes that can be a little difficult. But honestly, we've been very fortunate. We've never had a lack of people willing to, pick up a shovel and do things. It's just been kind of trying to harness that energy so that everybody can get involved and there's not that type of conflict, right?
And you would say your neighborhood association, how many people would be sort of active in that? What is the number?
Yeah. Well, typically I'd say 20 to 30 people showing up to meetings, to cleanups. Even during COVID, I was a little surprised. We had 13 people show up to the meeting, socially distanced, wearing masks. We had a couple people on Google Meets that dialed in. So, again, really surprised, but people continue to want to stay active during COVID.
So anybody want to know where Emerson Heights is? It's sort of like near east, pretty much just out Washington and up a little bit.
We're like the last neighborhood within the NESCO boundaries of that near east side in 46201 before you jump Emerson to Irvington. So we're basically just west of Irvington.
Yeah, and these houses in this neighborhood are probably built 20s, 30s. Is that about right?
Yeah, 1910s to 1930s. We got listed on the National Register of Historic Places in 2012. Because a lot of those homes were in that era that they wanted to kind of preserve and protect.
Now, I know I've watched your Facebook and I've watched you do all your DIY projects and whatnot. What kind of condition was your house in when you first bought it? Was it really bad, or was it just needed help?
So I'll take you back a little ways first. So in 2008, we were renting on the north side, and we wanted to find a house, and build some equity and kind of get that first home. And so we actually lived one block north. Found a beautiful home, and didn't have to do a whole lot to it. Somebody had reinvested in the home and put it back on the market. But with 3 kids, a 2-bedroom got a little tight for us, and we were looking all over the place, John. And this house, the whole time, had been on the market. This was back in 2016 when, like today, things were going really fast.
Oh, yeah.
And we drove past this house a couple times. There was an open house, and we went through it. We knew that it had been flipped in a sheriff's auction and then rented for a couple years. We knew it needed some work. And but it was still for sale, and we said, well, let's try that. It's a little bit bigger. We could do some things to it, kind of make it our own. And so the first year that we lived in here, I don't think we set foot in the first floor other than to get out of the house. The walls were ripped out. We were rewiring the place. Had to do a lot of work to get it where it is today, and it's still a work in progress.
Yeah, it seems like they always are, but it is good to own your own house, right?
Yes.
I mean, that's a lot of people's wealth is in their house, in their property, and that's what I like about our Constitution. It protects property rights, and so we should take pride in our property. And I noticed your neighbors are doing a pretty good job here around the neighborhood. Now let's fast forward to what I really wanted to come talk to you about. I mean, I'm just interested in seeing somebody in a neighborhood that comes in and is a help instead of that wants to help others, and you fit that Do Something Indie model perfectly. So you had this idea, or how did it come about your little boxes that you have?
Yeah.
Let's talk about that.
Well, it might be a little bit of Ty Pennington ADHD. I think I think a lot of us have that. And so it started in the winter months when COVID was just kind of first rolling out, and I was furloughed from work for a week. And I was talking to a good friend, just kind of grumbling, and he's like, let's do something this week. Let's do something. And I said, yeah, I've really been wanting to do something with those little lending libraries. Every year we talk about it at the neighborhood meetings. We never really get any traction on it. And he's like, well, I'm off this week too. Let's just build them together. So that's what we did. So we started with like a neighborhood survey on our Facebook page, and we just made a Google form where it said, hey, we have an opportunity to get a few little lending library boxes. If you're interested, if you could give us your contact information, we'll start to kind of chat offline. And we had 5 or 6 neighbors that signed up and said they were interested in hosting a box. They'd be interested in helping fill a box and have it, where they could maybe paint it and maintain it if somebody could just help them get the resources to get it started.
So you get them started,
Yep.
and then you go put it in front of their house? Is
Yeah.
that?
So we had an assembly line in the garage, and when was this? Probably March, April. It's a little cold.
I think I remember seeing you working on them.
Yeah.
Like, okay,
It's a
yeah,
little
this is nice work too. I mean,
Yeah.
we're going to go out and see one here in a minute, so
Yeah.
you'll get to see exactly what this is. But the background and how this got started is perfect about getting involved, and like you heard him say, do something twice in that sentence, so you get extra points for using the phrase "do something."
Yeah. So what we wanted to do was give people an opportunity to get involved, and then we'd kind of back out. So we'd kind of help them get into the position to host a box, but then we would kind of get out of it unless they needed some resources. So what that looked like most of the time was we'd build the box, we'd prime the box, we'd ask them if they needed help setting it up in their yard. Most people, actually everybody, put the 4x4 posts in their own yard.
Okay.
I think one gal hired somebody to do it, or maybe her dad helped her, but everybody found resources to do that. They just needed help with the box. When you go online, these boxes go for $200, $300, $400, but there's really only $50 to $80 of material in the average box. And we were fortunate, we'd just done the floors upstairs, and we had all this leftover wood, and we were able to use those to do about 80% of the wood on the boxes. So
Yeah, honestly, looking at one right out here behind the camera, it's very nice, and we're gonna, like I said, we're gonna go out and have a look at that and see what's inside. Right?
Yeah.
It's like Christmas for people that in need.
Yeah.
So, who actually uses a box? I mean,
Yeah.
how does that work? Who's a user on this?
Well, let's talk about that. So at the time, the city, the country was shutting down, right? And libraries had shut down, schools were starting to shut down, and my wife and I really just felt like this could be a resource for the community if they were comfortable using them. And certainly we had like hand sanitizer and stuff attached to them.
Mandatory.
But just a resource for people that just felt isolated. And I see retirees walk up and grab adult books during the day. We leave a little bit of food in the boxes, and you can actually sign up to register your box as not only a book box, but a food box. And the food goes very quick. Usually within a few hours of being placed, the food's gone. So there's a big need in the neighborhood.
So you can put milk and butter in there, right? They're going to get it that fast.
Yeah, I mean, it goes quick.
But I kid you not, at the
goes
one
quick.
in Mars Hill, they do put that in there because people will come. I mean,
Yeah.
it's not going to be there that long. And what's nice about now is we have the community garden, and we put stuff from there in there. So it's really nice to have a sense of community that way. So that's really good. So how quick? I mean, we say food goes quick.
Yeah.
But how much of the other stuff, the reading material, how's that turn?
I would say the books usually turn within a couple weeks. So maybe there's room for 30, 40 books. There's another box across the street, and they mostly do adult books. We've mixed some kids' books in, and we've got kids that run down the street and will grab a few. But the thing I want to leave people with is it's not that hard to do something like this. We put it out on Facebook on our neighborhood page and said, would anybody be interested? We brought the conversation offline. We deployed the assets and then said, do you need help putting it up? Do you need help finding books? Do you need help painting? Most people were good on all those fronts, and then they were able to kind of, bless their box.
And they have some ownership, and they have
Yeah.
some pride, and they can say, I helped do this.
Yep.
So I want to make a request. Can I make a request?
Yeah.
I want to get one for the Mars Hill Art Center. Actually,
Awesome.
I want to get one, but my wife Lisa, really wants to get one. She
Nice.
goes, well, when you're over there, ask them about a box. See if we can get one. because we have the little pantry
Yeah.
at the church, but she really wants to do some reading stuff and
Yeah.
and craft drop. I mean, she does. When the COVID started, she did a craft drop. She would
Nice.
make up a thing, and people would same thing.
That you could do that.
And
I mean,
then
you could put
she would
anything
go
there.
deliver it to them.
Sure.
And they would,
I mean,
and
you
they-
think about it, as using it as a blessing box, you could put clothes in there, you could put crafts in there, you could put food in there. I've really been surprised by how they've been used, and I've really been surprised. We had a fundraiser too on our neighborhood page asking people, would you be willing to donate, $5 towards buying some nice new books? And the neighborhood raised $435 in a couple days, and we were able to buy over 100 quality new books.
That is,
And they go quick.
I mean, that is great. I mean, and that's what it takes to make a community, a neighborhood into a community. So, well, we're going to go out and we're going to have a look-see
Cool.
at it now.
Awesome.
So I appreciate that explanation.
Yeah.
And join us shortly. Okay, and now we're out in front of Ryan's house, and this is one of the boxes, and Ryan's going to give you a little tour of what this box is.
Sure. So this is a little free library. You can actually register the boxes online, and the organization that started it will actually give you resources to help maintain your box and give you ideas and best practices on what to do if there's vandalism or what to do if you're looking for building materials, that kind of thing.
So you can go online and register this, right? Is that
Yeah,
correct?
so you can actually register, you get a charter number, and then what's really cool is if somebody goes to the website, littlefreelibrary.org, they can put in their address and find the closest box to them.
Okay, cool. And I'll post that on this video so you can look at that. So I see some little boxes right here. What's that about?
So there's a thing going on right now with the Indianapolis Arts Council called Art and Seek. They're doing it in conjunction with Keep Indianapolis Beautiful. And one of our local artists is Robin Toulouse, who's a neighbor just up the street.
Hold on. Any relation to Toulouse-Lautrec?
Ooh, I don't know.
Well, that's a good one, isn't it? I'm art history in college. At least I
I don't know.
remember something.
That's a good one.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
She specializes in these type of memory boxes, and they're actually in an Altoid tin. And what she did is she took historical photos from all over the neighborhood from the 1910s and 20s, and then put little people in them and colored them to kind of bring them to life. And she's going to keep them up through the end of the year. They're on the neighborhood pillars. They're on some of the libraries. They're attached to trees and things in the neighborhood. Kind of like little Easter eggs where you wouldn't know it's there until you walk by and then you notice it.
It's like one of those little things. So let's open it up here. Ooh,
Yeah.
That's a fancy handle. And looks like we have some books in there now. And you got a couple canned goods in there too. So.
Yeah. So we've got some canned goods, and we tried to kind of, what's really cool about this, neighbors will put food in here or take food. They'll put books in or they'll take books. So every day the inventory is kind of changing, but we've got some young reader books. We've got some adults books. There's really just a mix of different reading materials. And then we've got a few of these summer reading calendars for kids, just to give them something to do since they're not in school. So it kind of gives them suggestions on different types of books to read over the summer.
Yeah, I mean, it is really a neat little thing. This thing's even got a copper roof, and I mean, it's fancy. So, folks, I'll tell you what, all you have to do is just think of something, get some people involved, and make it happen. And this is a great example of that. Ryan, I appreciate your
Thank you,
time
John. Appreciate it.
and all that you're doing out here in Emerson Heights.
Thanks, John. Thank you for what you're doing. Take care, guys.